Hey, welcome back. Appreciate you joining us today. I know you saw the timestamp. It's a long one, and it's gonna be long. This is recorded earlier, okay? But it's gonna be a long video because we're gonna walk you through this revival, so to speak, of this Jeep. Yep, it's a Jeep. And we're doing this for a very special reason, for a very special person and a special friend of mine. So here's what we got. This is a 1978 CJ-5 Renegade. You know, it's hard enough here. I think I get the hood open. I should have done this before I started recording. Hard enough to find a clean CJ-5, let alone one that has the factory 304 V8. It's got the Armstrong steering and the Mega Leg brakes, but that's what's important right there. 3-speed manual transmission. It is a 78, so it's got the narrow track Dana 30 in the front, Dana 20 in the back. Basic, very clean little CJ-5 here, and it hasn't ran in about 5 years. These cars tell stories, and most of their owners are unique and interesting as well. This belongs to a close friend of mine, Army veteran, 16-17 years, continued to serve in the reserves, at least one trip to Afghanistan. Got back, put his badge back on. Yeah, he's a police officer in a city here in central Nebraska. He's still doing the job he loves. Just a great guy and a great family. And I've actually gone jeeping with this family when his girls were, you know, about as maybe tall as the side of that Jeep. They're wonderful people, and for the last couple of years I've been kind of egging them on to, you know, what's going on with your Jeep? Oh no, I put it away, it hasn't ran, I need to get it fixed, blah 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 blah. I've been hounding him a little bit on and off, and he's been getting the itch, I can tell. And then finally, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold too. Then finally, you know, his daughters are grown now, and they want to drive the Jeep. So that was the nudge that he needed to pull this thing out of the corner of the shed and decide, let's get it running again. I'm glad I didn't take it anywhere else. I'm honored to work on this Jeep. It doesn't need a lot. It just needs to be made safe so his family and he can enjoy it some more. Here's what we're gonna do. We're not going chip foose on it. We're gonna scuff the wheels, paint them back to that cream color. The fender flares are old and cracked. We're gonna replace those. The decals on the other side of the hood are really bad. We're gonna find as close as we can, or we'll have made some new decals for the hood. These aren't factory, but that's what he wanted. That's what he's getting back. We'll put new mirrors on it. The top we're not going to mess with. We'll shine it up just a little bit with some protectant Jalen and repaint the steps. Really the only issue with this Jeep is back here. There's a ton of Bondo in this corner. We're not going to mess with this time. There's no rust in here. It's damaged from an accident that didn't get fixed quite right, but that's maybe for another adventure. We're gonna buff on the paint just a little bit, little stuff to make this nice and drivable. The inside, you know, it's been sitting for a long time, guys. We need to clean the dash pad. Look at the condition of that dash pad though, minus the bird poop. It's pretty awesome. But look, rust free 1978 CJ-5. Huh? Look at that. You don't see that every day. I'm sorry, I'm sniffling at you. But anyway, we'll get some new best top seat covers for the front and back seats and clean up the interior a little bit. Carburetor leaks gas like crazy. There was a claim that it had been rebuilt once before, but we're gonna do it the right way. It's got a teeny tiny battery in it. Don't know if that's gonna chooch at all. I already checked the coolant. It's pretty much empty. Brakes need work, and electricals, we're gonna give it a tune up, change the oil, get the old fuel out of it, all that good stuff. It shouldn't take any heart surgery, but it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna get it running again. And 304 in these little CJ-5s, it's just a hoot to drive around. So hey, that's the title and chapter 1 of this story. We're gonna get after it here. First things first, we're gonna get it running so we can move it around, because we've got about, oh yeah, by the way, guy's birthday's end of May, so I don't know the exact day. I need to get that, but we're gonna reveal it for his birthday. So you didn't have to wait too long, but we've had about 7 weeks into this thing, 6 or 7 weeks. Oh yeah, new center caps too for the wheels. But we're gonna reveal sometime around his birthday, and it'll be a nice birthday present for him. Appreciate you watching along. Stick around till the end, it's gonna be a good one. All right, we're back out here on the Hero Jeep. Not a big car namer type guy, but I think for this one we're gonna go ahead and give it a name, and that's gonna be, the name is Hero. So we're out here on Hero. We're trying to get it started, because one of the first things we want to do is just take it in and take it to the car wash and get it all cleaned up, get it up to running temperature so we can service it, change the oil, that kind of stuff. But it won't start, and the solenoid over here on the fender is making horrendous noises. In with the new shiny new Napa Valley. Alright, we went and snagged the battery out of Freedom 1. I mean, what better place to get a battery for Hero than Freedom 1? So I don't know what kind of charge, if any, it has on it, but we cleaned up the ends, connect those. Let's see what we got now. Teaching / learning moment number 4,692,112. Same basic solenoid, but staring at it long enough, I realized this solenoid had been mounted in this configuration. Therefore, even though the start and ignition wires wanted to go on this way, I had to flip them because the solenoid was upside down when it was mounted. So we got her ready now. Let's see if it'll crank. We're getting fire or not? I don't believe we're getting fuel. Crack a fuel line at the carb here. Okay. Pull back a little bit. Down, back. There we go. So here is what we got going on. Like I said, a little 15-gallon tank. Look at this hose, guys. Look at this. That is completely I'm going to tell you this right now. don't put ethanol in your classic cars, especially when you're going to store them for a while. I mean, he didn't know this was going to store it. I don't know this for a fact, not casting stones here, but there's, yeah, this hose is completely deteriorated. This is the suction hose, so we're going to replace this with a sectional line, and then we'll make sure with our vacuum pump that we can pull gas out of that fuel out of the tank, and then we'll put this back in. And yeah, a lot of work just to for, you know, $2 worth of fuel line. And this one's just, I mean, look at that, it is just falling apart within itself. The vent is too. So if this was older line, I'm gonna say that this is probably a fuel issue and not a quality of line issue. But it's just, I mean, that is, golly, I'm glad he brought this to us. There's a spark somewhere, and all of a sudden you got 16 gallons of gas going to, look at that, you guys. I've never seen a fuel line just rot like that. That's incredible to me. The other thing we'll do is we're going to go ahead and stick our ohm gauge on this and see what we got for a reading. Okay, so I really wanted for this sending unit to be decent, and it is not. It's bad. There's some rust in it. Somebody got in here and the bottom, the factory end of it must have went bad, and so they took some more of that nasty fuel hose and tried to put some sort of a strainer on the bottom of it, but it's not really doing anything. The float is super heavy, so even if the readings are okay, this float's bad, but there's some rust there anyway. So now we can take a light at least and kind of look in there. Here, let's do this. So, not horrible. There's some chunkies, but not a lot of rust or anything. So I think the tank itself is okay. But we'll get this sender in the vise and run it through its paces. But I mean, we're gonna order him a sender. Okay, so here's our ohm meter. We got her on the horseshoes for ohms. We're gonna touch here and here, and we were out of sorts to begin with. We're at about 400 ohms, so we know this sender's junk. I just want to see if it has any kind of a swing to it, just for curiosity's sake here. So we're at 345, and then again this float's super heavy, so it probably wasn't floating anyway. Let's see. Now we're just gonna go open. We got nothing all the way up, and then for some reason, oh, now we're open all the way through the range. So yeah, this sender's junk. We ordered the sender, should be here in a couple days. We got it from the Rock Hard auto place. So that kind of puts the brakes on back here. However, that's not the end of the world. We already had the inlet side of the fuel pump unhooked, so we took some 5/16 fuel line, hooked it onto there, and then we got her dropped down into our rescue tank. This is the inlet to the carburetor, so we're going to take that off, and then we should be able to crank a little bit and see if that pump will pull fuel from the gas can. Let's take a look here. Okay, so we took our outlet off of our pump, and I don't know how well that shows, but it is dry. I mean, like, absolutely nothing trying to pump out of that pump. So more parts. Okay, so now we have a fuel sender ordered. That's coming from the Rock Hard Auto website. So that's torn apart. We have a fuel pump ordered. That's coming from the Napa Valley. So we'll leave that disconnected. We already have a carb kit, fuel filter, spark plugs, that kind of stuff, to make sure it gets running up good. But golly, for something that shouldn't have been this bad, again, this was the fuel line from the tank to the hard line, from the center to the hard line to the back of the Jeep. This is a section of fuel line that they somebody, probably not him, somebody before him, added to the sender so it could pull fuel. It's separated and deteriorated. This floats. Oh, now it's getting lighter now. It's finally starting to dry out. The sender's junk. And the fuel pump wants nothing to do with pumping fuel. This thing hasn't sat for that long, a few years, right? So there's something going on with what they've been putting in that tank. But the components of the fuel system do not like it. And hey, it's the next day, and we've got a Jeep part. We've got a fuel pump for Hero, the 78 CJ-5. We're going to toss this on here. We still don't have a sender unit for the tank, but we can get our pump tossed on and use our rescue can to see if this thing will fire. And then we can get on to some other stuff, knowing that this is going to be a runner. There's no reason why it shouldn't be, but this fuel system has fought back. I'm telling you. There we go. Oops. Got kind of a long arm on them. Smells a little gassy. I wonder if it wasn't dumping gas into the oil instead of into the cart. She goes in a little something like this. And you should be able to get your bolts started. Kind of hold it out away from the block. And then as you pull it in, that actuator arm will engage the cam that it rides on. This was the, gosh dang it. Yeah. We'll see if there's fuel that comes out of here now when we crank on this a little bit. There she goes. We got fuel. Let's get the needle and seat adjuster tool. Okay. Can't get it around a little bit and pull some fuel through that carb, dang it. It just isn't gonna do it. All right, golly, guys. So the issue is, for Hero here, my friend says it pours gas out of the front of this carb somewhere. And I wanted, it would have been nice to have seen that happen before we rebuild the carburetor, so that we can, you know, pay special attention to that. But it's not allowing fuel in. You know what? This is a 2100 here, 2150. We can take this top right off. Let's do that and unstick that needle and seat and then see what happens. Let me get you in here. I expected this to be dry, but it's not. We've got fuel in the bowl. So it's not getting to the engine. We're going to end up having to rebuild this carb here. Got some clogged passages. Yet another indicator. If this carb sat with some ethanol in it, that's, you know, it gums everything up. Wreaks havoc with accelerator pumps and power valves. The good news is it does run. Sounds like it might have a little bit of a miss. We're going to pull the carb, get that where it needs to be. We'll put some plugs in it, and by then we should have a fuel sending unit, and then we can just go about, you know, gosh dang it, I want to get this thing running. Okay, so we need to clean this carb up and get it carbureting again. Oh yeah, here. So we've got, let me show you this. We've got, this is the nubbin on our accelerator pump, and then we have another accelerator pump nubbin in the bottom of the float bowl here. So somewhere along the line somebody has replaced this. Otherwise, generally really dirty, and really everything's covered in this layer of gum slash corn ethanol. Pull the accelerator pump off. Okay, so the complaint, I knew this was going to happen. The complaint from my buddy was fuel pours out of here right away. We do this and it's really loose. That's one strip screw in the accelerator pump cover. There's two strip screws in the pump cover. Not the end of the world. We can tap those the next size bigger, and we should be able to still use this carb body, I hope. Let me see if this one is. Yeah, that one's stripped as well. It's got a little more life in it, but definitely not good. And then, are we 4 for 4? We're just going to plan on replacing all of these. We will retap these, and we'll use machine screws, Allen head machine screws. It'll be just fine. Oh yeah, look at the varnish on that. That is definitely ethanol abuse right there. I've had these, you know, tune-up parts on the bench for a couple weeks now, and it's just eating at me that this thing won't start and run. I wanted to do that first. We just pulled all the spark plugs, and here they are. This is front to back driver's side, front to back hitchhiker side. Bad news, running rich across the board. Good news, they're all pretty much the same. So you don't have one cylinder that says I'm acting way different than the rest. Let's throw some plugs in it and go from there. Hey, I'm doing one more thing here before we're done for this evening. I got started without you. I apologize for that, but we're gonna take these old nasty, they're hard and rotten and cracked and grayed fender flares off. That way when we do get it running, when we take it in to wash it and then we do a little buffing on it, we can get under where those flares mount, make sure that's all nice and shiny and protected, and then we'll put new ones on. So we got almost 3 off. They screw in from the back with little 1/4 inch sheet metal screws, and then underneath the lip of the flare there's a little plastic block, so it just screws into plastic, so they're coming out pretty easy. We are back on the carb rebuild for the CJ-5. So recap, 3 of the 4 holes for our accelerator pump screws were stripped out, and the report was that the front of the carb leaked fuel like crazy. So that is why. And so we have, so that is the old screw, size screw for that held that cover on, and we're going up to, that would be like a 8 maybe. We're going to go up to a 10/24 cap screw, and to do that we're going to retap the holes. We don't have to re-drill them, but we're going to use a couple different taps. A regular tap first of all, and then this is a cheaper tap I have, and I ground the tip, the starting threads off of it, so I can pretty much bottom this out. That way we can get all the way to the bottom of these holes in here because they don't go through. We've done this a few times over the years. So we drill it out, next size bigger. You do have to be pretty careful. Use a little bit of lubricant on drilling these holes out. If this catches too hard, you could crack one of these ears. So just have to. Mac, you sneaking up on us. Hey bud, what you doing? Do you have needs? You have a need? What you need? You want a pet? Yeah. See, that's what I needed. I just needed a little petting. Good boy. Yeah. What you doing? You working on anything? Got projects? Can you help rebuild a carburetor? Could you do that for me? You think so? Alright. See you later. Okay. Carb rebuilt, reinstalled. These are the 4 bolts or 4 cap screws that we replaced and tapped and made bigger so this gasket around here does not leak. Let's grab a tripod and let's see if we'll start and run here. I don't have any fuel in the carb right now, so it'll take just a minute for it to pump up, but we charged the battery, so we should be good there. There we go. can't run this very long at one time because we're still running our return fuel line back to the back of the Jeep into a paint mixing bucket because we are waiting on a fuel sending unit. So this thing's gonna run and drive today. We've got our fuel sending unit. Yeah, everything's done. We just need to get the tank back in this so we can drive it into town, get it washed off, and then finish some of the little stuff like brakes and things like that. Rule number one I'm going by right now is I'm not letting this thing out of my shop with whatever kind of fuel that is in that tank, because it's done a number on the fuel system. This one has 2 locating tabs here on either side, and there's 2 locating tab holes right there. It kind of goes without saying or typing or anything else, sparks are not your friend when you're working on a fuel tank. So what we're doing here, we can use a brass hammer, and we can hammer directly on the retainer ring, or we can use a brass hammer and a brass punch, or a steel hammer and a steel punch, and use the punch to manipulate the ring. Right now we're just trying to get it started. Important thing here is, and I think I showed this on the blue Malibu, but I'm not sure if that was when we were having video issues. Each one of these rings has an edge right there, right here, and right here, and they all have to go under these tabs in the tank. And so the whole thing rotates this way and locks until these little stand-up tabs on the ring get stopped by that. So you get about a third of a turn, almost, yeah, about a third of a turn to get this completely seated in here. All right, let's get you in here. I need light. I already took my light up here. Tank is in. Everything's hooked up. Everything went well, I guess, for the most part. Yeah, 4 bolts. 4 bolts in the back, cross member, 3 in the front. We did replace a couple rusty nuts and stuff. Fuel vent, fuel fill hoses are on. Emissions hoses, and we put new rubber line for the fuel out to the front of the Jeep, and return line. And then we cleaned up the ground and put a new screw in for the fuel sender ground. Now, okay, we got about 2 gallons of gas in it. Neutral key on. Let's see. First road test in the Jeep, successful. Went around the section, runs great, shifts great. Got it back here, started digging into the lights a little bit. And lo and behold, we don't have headlights. If you go back and watch the farm truck, dump body farm truck video, talk about it. Okay, even though this switch looks pretty ratty, it's missing the whole knob and everything, but it seems to be, you know, there's 2 detents in there. It uses them both. So, but you might suspect that switch. You might just go to the Irish parts store or wherever and get you one. But what I'm telling you folks is start down here at the dimmer switch. This guy's given us trouble before, we can tell, because we've got some, you know, Dollar General butt connectors in there and that kind of thing. So we do a little check-in and we pull it apart, and this is how we actually found it here. Was with the top connector out of the or the top terminal out of the connector. And from, again, the dump body, we know that the power comes into this switch through the top connector. Here we go. Maybe. Nope. How about now? There we go. There. Oh. It's funny how when you give things voltage, they give you light. Marker lights. We're going to finish lighting, and then we might mess with wipers. And then if we get real ambitious, we might see if the, well, the key's on. Let's see. Okay, that's the slidey switch. Oh, here we go, fan. Oh, we got fanage. Jalen's helping out, getting some choring done. In the meantime, I'm on hero here. It's been a few days. Been waiting for parts, and then we got the Corvette, and it's kind of, like I said, jumped up in priority. But this is also a priority. This has to be done by, this customer's birthday is May 26th, and his wife wants to surprise him with it. What we've done yesterday evening, we peeled off the nasty Renegade decals. I got to stop by local vinyl guy tomorrow and get them on making some replacements. You can kind of sort of see just a little bit of a remnants in the fading of the paint, but otherwise we just did a buff and a wax on this, which this thing turned out looking pretty good too. Now it has a less than spectacular paint job on it. It's not perfect, but this Jeep is definitely worth saving and enjoying. So we're dressing her up. We got the mechanicals all done. Well, we got to check front brakes and wheel bearings, but that's no big deal. The rest of the mechanicals are done, and now we're just kind of spruce it up a little bit and make it nice, so when they pick it up, they can jump in it and enjoy. On Jeeps though, a big thing is bumpers. So we're gonna touch up the bumpers just a little bit here. I've already hit this with the giant wire brush and wiped it down with the Ace Tone. That's a dad snack. And then we're going to hit it with our favorite Duplicolor Trek Bed coating. It gives a real nice finish. I tripped onto this when I was doing some stuff on my own Jeep back in the day. It covers anything, it sticks to about anything, and it's got a really cool kind of textured semi-matte black finish, and dries super fast too. And then we'll turn the Jeep around because I don't dare spray that way because it's windier and crap again. Same thing, we're going to mask off everything that's not red here, or everything that shouldn't be red here, and we'll go through this with the giant wire brush and do the same thing in the front here, and that just will really clean this up. I think we're good. Just got to dry and even out, but like I said, it puts a nice even coating on things. You can move right along. Looks pretty darn good. That's the back bumper. Let's move on. We're gonna pop a wheel and check out some bearings and brakes on this bad rig. This customer used to run this Jeep in the river with us. shallow sandy bottom river that runs across our state, and it's fun. When there's water in there, you can splash around and whatever, have a good old time. But it's super hard on equipment. Ooh. Okay, time out here. Let's spin this around. Yeah. Don't like that noise. If it needs bearings, brakes on one side, it's at least going to need brakes on the other side. We might have to put brake hoses on it too. We're gonna put brake hoses on it too. All right, we gotta get some parts. That grease has seen better days. Yowzers. Really though, to get them cleaned up. Oh, the bearings, I just noticed that the bearings stuck on the spindle there. There's another view. See all that pitting in there? Yeah, that race is shot. Pull the other side. Packing of wheel bearing has been complete. Ah. There she goes. Again, wait for that high pitched. When you hear that all the way around, your seal's where you want it to be, unless it's supposed to be countersunk. Most of these, you know, vintage jobs don't sink their seals past flush. Especially on the old Jeepers here. Okay, we had to run into the house for a little bit because we had some, well, not some, a really significant little windstorm blow through. Now it's beautiful out, but yeah, could not see 3 feet in front of you. And maybe if I got a good picture, I'll put it on here, but we're back. We're going to try and get a little bit more done. It's about supper time, but we got the hub put together. We cleaned up the internals of the lockout, put that in there, and now we've also cleaned up the locking hub. And we're going to use just a little bit of silicone to seal this, and then we'll smear just a little bit of grease in here just to make things operate smoothly. So, okie doke. Brakes, front brakes on Hero are done. Bearings repacked. Let's see. Inner bearing on this side replaced. Or no, outer bearing on this side replaced. Inner was okay. New brake hose, new brake pads, new caliper, lockout serviced, all that good stuff. Passenger side, both bearings replaced, caliper okay, new brake hose, lockout serviced, and we got another little kind of surprise. It's not really a surprise, but another little step we're doing and to kind of dress this old girl up. Yeah, we gave the wheels a little scuff and repaint. So, intermission update. Here's where we're at with Hero. We cleaned up the back bumper, painted it, looks great. We did a carb kit, fuel pump, fuel sending unit in the tank. Replaced a bunch of fuel lines. We did a pinion seal on the rear differential. We did all front brakes, 3 out of 4 new front wheel bearings, 1 new front brake caliper. We adjusted the back brakes, filled up the rear end with gear oil, checked the transfer case, it's good. The transmission had water in it, so we drained and refilled the transmission gear oil. We just started putting on new flares, so we're going to do that. We've got new black side mirrors for it, and then we finally did get our front bucket seat covers coming, so we've got all the seat covers that'll be here sometime next week. We sourced him some leftover chrome lug nuts, and then we found him a couple chrome center caps laying around the shop too, so we're in pretty good shape right now. The list is getting shorter and shorter. Today we are going to redo the front bumper a little bit, and by redo I mean give it a little facelift. We did the back bumper, looks really nice compared to what it was, and we're going to use the bed liner coating to do the same thing to the front bumper. So first things first, we got to get the license plate off. We'll start masking up the very bottom of the grill there, and then we'll give this some wire wheel flap disc sandpaper treatment. Shouldn't take too long here. We'll knock that off the list. Late last night we finished putting the fender flares on, new flares all the way around, and new reflection makers. So we're really starting to turn this thing from a 20-footer into a 10-footer, and I think that's going to be perfect. All right, I bet it hasn't even been 15 minutes. It's completely dry to the touch. Steps. Just like that, we've got a newly finished bumper and front frame section. Looks mucho better than it did. Today we are putting the final touches on Hero, the 78 CJ-5 that belongs to a true blue Hero. So we kind of surprised him. We've got new Renegade decals from our local supplier. We're going to slap those on. And then, lo and behold, like 2 days ago, after all the work we've put into this, when he first got this thing to start, there was a high-pitched squeal coming from the front of the motor. And I thought maybe the alternator, you know, maybe a little dry inside, maybe a little, you know, dirt daubers, whatever. But it came around, excuse me, but it came around and life was pretty good. And a day and a half ago, stopped charging. So we're going to do decals today. We've got an alternator ordered for tomorrow, and tomorrow we'll detail it all out, and then the day after that we're going to give this back to its owner, and he and his family can take her for a cruise. So I'm just using sprayway glass cleaner. It's got a pretty good alcohol content in it, so to cut through the grease and the wax that we have on the Jeep. And yes, we waxed this Jeep once, and we're going to take that off right now. Once we get these decals back on here, we'll go through and detail the Jeep again and give it another coat of wax. Almost fell over on my stool. All right, next thing we need, just some painter's tape and a tape measure. And I can see, you might not be able to see it on the video, but I can see where the old letters were. And we're going to go ahead and start our new letters right at that same spot. So we're at about 3 inches up from the bottom. Okay, and then I can see the leading edge of our old R. I'm just gonna come up against that. Oops, missed. Like so. That's gonna be right about there, and then we're gonna come around and go to here. So we're gonna go here. We're gonna go there. That's our layout for our decal. So this is not what I would consider to be a large vinyl decal. So I'm just going to use water. They make special sprays if you're doing a larger decal, or if you need to move the decal around a little bit before you actually squeegee it down. You can put just a drop or two of dishwashing liquid, Dawn, in there, and that'll give you that little bit of slipperiness so that you can position that decal a couple times so everything's happy. We're just going to spray this area with water. Peel this guy off. Kind of the point of no return now. Now back to the Jeep. And we can take, and there's a little bit of ridge on the vinyl, and we can take that R and we can put it right in the corner where our tape is. Now we'll go and just start squeegeeing. And again, just plain water, the adhesive on the vinyl will start to stick pretty quickly, and you can't just slide your sticker around. I'm just squeegeeing up from the middle up and from the middle down first. And here what we can do, because right along this tape edge, it will also trap a little bit of water. We're going to come back now, pull our little alignment tape here. Pull this side tape. So while I'm doing this, I was looking at demographics and analytics on the old channel. There's quite a few young adults, teenagers that watch this channel, and I appreciate you guys. That's what I'm here for, just to kind of help you guys appreciate these older classic cars and trucks and Jeeps and whatever else we can come across. And yeah, we want this automotive thing to keep going, and classic car, the love of classic cars and trucks and stuff to keep going. So that's what we're here for. But I appreciate the younger audience sticking around. Here we go. Down here too. This is one of those patience things. Did I already see that? It's gonna flatten out. Okay, you can just kind of take your finger Run around all the edges. Make sure you don't have any corners sticking up. If you're happy with all your edges, your next step is to just stop. Stop fiddling. We're gonna go along here, get some of this moisture picked up on the top, on the bottom, and then we're just gonna let her sit. Room temperature. And dry a little bit, and then we'll come over and wipe it off with another microfiber and go from there. So, hey friends and fans, today is the day. We are wrapped up on the 1978 Jeep CJ-5 factory 304 V8, 3-speed, manual brakes, manual steering. We've done a ton to this Jeep. If you've watched the video up to this point, you know this. And we're gonna go drive it now about 30 miles and surprise the owner for his birthday and Memorial Day. I'm pretty excited to actually get to drive the thing a little bit before we got to deliver it. Let's take a little walk around this thing. We'll get some footage on the road. He's kind of a private dude, so we won't get any of the reveal and that kind of stuff, but it's been a labor of love for us and a project we're happy to be a part of. And you know, we like doing nice things for nice people. We'll get on the road, and appreciate you watching, appreciate you following us and stuff. Yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.